Got my test result yesterday, so I'm as of yesterday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was COVID free.
I got mine today, and I got tested yesterday. My son-in-law came down with COVID.
Got my test result yesterday, so wow, that's not good.
No, not good. And my daughter's a school teacher in Park City, so means she can't go in. And I tested because I saw about 5 days ago, saw just my daughter. We wound up walking, the trail at the Jordanelle.
Sure.
But luckily
Yeah.
it was cold and outside. That's my only saving grace.
Well, I hope you come up clean.
Well, it came out clean today, but it's
Oh, good.
yeah, you need really they say 6 or 7 days.
7 to 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't know for certain for another 4 or 5 days, probably. 4 days, I guess.
So just so you guys know, I have started YouTube live, so.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we need a few more folks before we can get going. Are you guys seeing the agenda?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we all here? No.
Nope.
So look, my wife, she got me this. What is this? I think it's chocolate fudge cookies and cream. I need to be properly nourished for this meeting.
Well, it sounds like
That's
the
very
sugar.
nice.
Sounds like the sugar will keep you up, Bob.
Oh, that is fantastic. This is better than Carvel. Ralph, you're from the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I grew
Remember
up on
Carvel when we
Carvel.
were kids?
Good humor,
I think everybody in Hideout's from the East Coast.
We'll get going in just 1 second.
I'm gonna turn off my video so you don't have to watch me eat this ice cream.
Well, I'm bringing dinner down here pretty soon if you're going to go that route.
Oh, my wife, she made this. We found these Wagyu steaks. Smith's has them on sale for about $20 a pound. They're fantastic.
What kind of sticks?
The Wagyu beef. It's very well marbled.
Oh yeah, you got you.
And what my wife Marnie likes to do is, instead of throwing them in a grill, because she gets mad because sometimes I burn things on the grill, she puts it in a cast iron skillet and then does maybe like a little bit of red wine vinegar or a poivre sauce, maybe some butter, and then she fries it up in the skillet. It comes out perfect every time. So
Sounds.
Can I
delicious.
interrupt the cooking recipe thing to get going here?
it feels a great cook, by the way.
If that's all right with you guys. Okay. So this is the Hideout Town Council meeting of January 14th, 2021.
Bill, real
Let's
quick, did you
call
want to
meeting.
ask if Galaxy S10 is that Derek?
Derek, is that you?
I've got an S10.
Who is that?
Oh, that's
Kent.
Kent. That's Kent. Okay. Okay. No problem. We'll fix that. All right. Let's get going. Sorry. Are we recording? Alicia?
Yes, we are.
We're recording. Hideout Town Council, regular meeting, January 14th, 2021. Calling the meeting to order. I'm going to do the Indo anchor site determination, and then we'll do roll call. So, as of January 6th, 2021, the mayor of the town of Hideout, that being me, hereby determines that the conducting of a meeting with an anchor location presents a substantial risk to health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location pursuant to Utah Code 52-4-207 sub 4 and Hideout Town Ordinance 2020-03. The facts upon which the determination is based include the percent number of positive COVID-19 cases in Utah has been over 30% since January 5th. The 7-day average of cases has been nearly 3,000 since January 5th. So the meeting will not have a physical anchor location. All participants will connect remotely. All public meetings are available via the YouTube live stream. And you also can get in on the Zoom channel for the portion where we take comments from the public. Email comments received prior to the scheduled meeting will be read during the public comment portion and entered into public record. This letter so the bottom statement is wrong, Alicia.
I was just noticing that, so that should be February 5th.
Yeah, that should be February.
Sorry, I'll get that corrected.
Thank you. Since I set it up to start on January 6th, so it should go to February. Okay. Let me take roll call. Ralph.
I'm here.
Bob Nadelberg.
Here,
Chris.
Here.
Jerry. Jerry.
I'm talking to mute here.
There you go. Thank you. And Carol.
Here.
Good. Thank you. We have the full council available and we have a quorum. We have 5 sets of minutes to discuss. I have read them and made a few minor adjustments to them with Alicia. Everything we did was just spelling and or a few minor clarifications, but didn't change the intent. So she hasn't reissued with the changes I made, but again, they don't change the content of the document. It's just a little.
I have a
Right.
number of them and how you want to proceed through them. So
And I
Well,
also
it's-
have the
I think-
number.
Okay, so let's just. I think since you guys have a list, we'll just have you address the various minutes based on your comments, and then we'll And then we can come back and talk about adopting them.
Okay.
So Jerry, if you want to go first.
All right. August 14th minutes. The heading says it's a special meeting, but the paragraph on line 8 says it's a regular meeting. And then on line 11, it says it's a special meeting. So I think we've said twice it's special, but and once that it's regular. And this was
So,
that
Alicia,
noon
can you-
call. So this is yeah, should be special.
Thank you
Special
for,
session.
thank you for pointing that out. I'll change that.
And then in the list of present, I'm left off that list, but I'm mentioned multiple times throughout the notes.
I'm so sorry.
It happens. And let me see if I have anything else on this set of minutes. So some of the minutes have a okay, there it is. Never mind. I'll retract that. That's all I have for that set of minutes. So Carol, do you have?
I do. Most of my comments and corrections are either grammatical or punctuation or insertion of words. So I am happy just to send that list to Alicia. If that will, unless you want me to be specific.
I
What
think
would
we
you
have
like?
to ask Polly if you're not changing the
I'm not changing the intent at all.
intent of the letter, can we adopt Carol's changes without having seen them all?
Oh, if they're all just typographical, I think she can just submit them to Alicia, and that's fine. If there is anything that just changes, I don't know, the
There,
meaning,
it's
clarifies the meaning or something like that, then we should go over it.
no, there is a misspelling of someone who spoke's name. They spoke at the December 12th meeting, and you have the name wrong. But I mean, is that just considered? I need to
That's
just
just
give that to.
typographical. Yeah, just give that
Right.
to her.
Okay. Right. And I would like to at this time thank Alicia for very clear minutes. I mean, I thought they read very, very clearly, and she did a great job with them.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have stuff on August 27th as well.
Okay.
So on in the packet, page 12, line 38 and 39,
I had that.
that sentence doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I had
That's-
that too.
That's one of the ones we fixed today, Jerry. So that's
Okay,
I
how
also
does it
picked
read
that up.
now?
It now reads that Mr. Danzy noted that the town did not concede any fail to perform obligations it had to Mustang. Basically,
Okay.
what Dan was saying is that we do not, by signing an agreement with them and adopting the plan, does not admit any failure on our part to uphold our part of the bargain. So we clarified that. We went back and listened to the tape today several times and got that clarified.
Okay.
Okay.
And then on page 14, on line 16, this isn't a change, but it's a reminder. You know, these notes go back quite a few months. So this conversation was about, you know, somebody who started the building process before the impact fee went into effect. And this conversation was around, you know, how we would address that. And I don't know if we ever settled that. The last sentence says legal counsel would research the proposal to ensure the proceedings would be permitted. Talking about, you know, how we deal with those folks that were in process at the time.
Well, we did resolve that with the help of legal, and if they, if their permits were pulled before the 90 days and they were able to go forward without having to pay an impact fee.
Yeah, I guess the nature of the conversation was, hey, I started DRC review, but it takes forever and I can't get a building permit until DRC is signed off. So they started the process, but they never got to a point where they could build or pull a permit.
Well, yes, Jerry, and what I'm trying to say is that we separated the DRC approval from
Okay.
the town's approval, and the specific unit in that was at the time being looked at or had raised the question did not have the drawings done where the town could approve the drawings either.
Okay.
So they were not eligible to get the permit.
Okay.
We had no structurals.
That is all I have on the September, or on the I don't see the date where I'm at here, but the August 27th. So now
Right.
did anybody else have any on August before I move on to September's?
Yeah, Jerry, this is Chris. In the same paragraph you were just in, Dan's last name is completely misspelled. Do I just send that to you, Alicia?
You can just send.
What page were we on?
Page 14 of the packet, line 7, 13, and 21.
Oh, yeah. So that's on 21. Alicia, that's the
7.
same name we corrected earlier. That's Mount.
Yeah, it's Moutan, Mouthaan.
Oh, that's different than,
Yeah.
I don't think there's an H in there. But we'll get that clarified.
okay.
And on line 7, it's there again. So we made the correction earlier, Alicia, but I don't know if we made it all the way through.
Oh, I did a find and replace on that. But yeah,
Okay.
we just need to make sure we're spelling it correctly.
Well, it'll be in our records.
Okay.
Okay, I have nothing for the September 4 meeting. Anybody else have anything on September 4?
I have nothing either.
I don't
I have
either.
nothing on September 4.
Okay, September 10.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Page 13, line 4.
On September,
Yeah, September
4th?
4th. Right.
I don't have a page 13.
Well, I'm looking down at the pages at the bottom.
Yeah.
On the bottom left.
This is September 4. Is page 22 or page 1 of 5? If you look at the screen, so I'm missing something somewhere.
Okay, let me get my glasses.
And in the PDF, it's page 22.
Okay, there's no, okay, I must be on the 4th then. Okay. So then I guess I don't. So my first correction then would be on page 25.
Of the packet.
Uh-huh.
So is that, I'm trying to see, it's still September 4th meeting, so go ahead, Carol.
Okay, line 30. I think you should put the word "be" after "may."
Oh, yes.
Okay. And then on page 26, line 2, the word is additional, and I think it should be in addition.
Okay. Good catch.
We're getting out the fine tooth comb. Nice.
Being a teacher. Okay. Okay.
So then we'll go to September 10th session.
Yep. And my next one is on page 32, line 7. My recollection is that Carol voted against the first piece, the intent to annex, but voted for the intent to which was this? This was there were two pieces. One, oh, the pre-annexation
You're right.
agreement. So she voted against the resolution, but for the pre-annexation agreement. Carol, does that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. I apologize for that.
Right.
Good pickup, Jerry.
Mhm.
And I missed that.
I thought for sure you'd pick that one up.
Now,
And that's all I have on September 10th.
Okay, so run this by me one more time just to make sure that I have my notes correct.
Yeah, so
So
just add
sorry.
on line 7 on page 32,
Okay,
just move Carol into the yay column, and the motion passed 4-0.
okay, perfect.
Anyone else have comments on September 10th meeting? Okay. Then
Okay,
we'll
December 12th.
go to December 10th.
Oh, then that might be yes.
Did I
So
skip something,
then,
Jerry?
nope, the footer for December 10th says it's December 12th. So
Good catch.
good catch.
I didn't actually catch that until Phil said, all right, we're going to deal with December 10th. And I'm looking at the footer and says, oh, am I in the wrong? Yeah. Okay. So let's see if I have anything. Okay, on page 43, line 38, that sentence doesn't make sense to me.
Punctuation is probably an issue there, but so in response to questions from council members Byron Severini's question regarding the logistics for the rest of it. So probably plural.
Well, I think that second question could probably just be pulled in response to questions from regarding the logistics. So just pull the second question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on on page 44, we don't have a time when the regular meeting ended and the executive started, which has been your pattern before to list when we moved to executive and when executive ended. And we don't have that here.
Okay, I can add that in. I'll figure out where that was. It was probably within a minute.
No, we typically take a few minute break, so it's probably a few minutes. You have to look at the tape and see.
Yeah, we have when it's, well, you have when it
When the executive
convened.
started,
Yeah, when it started and when it ended, but we don't have when the public meeting ended.
when the open session
Yeah,
ended, yeah.
and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Anyone else?
Yeah, Phil, that my only comments are on the follow-ups. So not sure, I don't have any edits here, but there were 3 follow-ups that I saw. 2 regarding shoreline, or 3, I think, on page 2 and 3. I wrote those down as page 2, line 19, that Polly received a 7-page letter and would follow up on the review or analysis of that. And then following that was, Chris said there was, we would get some additional reports, engineering and others to be reviewed. And then there were some other reports, I think, referred to on page 3, line 12, that would go back to you, Mayor. So those are the 3 things that I just want to call out and make sure that we do follow up on those at some point, or maybe they have.
So they're in various stages of progress, Ralph. There's inspection scheduled for the 20th of this month, for example, which I think is like next week. So what I'll do is we'll put it on the agenda for next month to do an update on the shoreline. I talked with Ryan this week about the structural, the stability of the hillside. He's put a letter together back to the letter that we received. He's got some additional questions there. So it's all being worked on, but I'll give you an update for next month.
Thanks.
So Alicia, if you'd make a note to add that to the February meeting content, I'd appreciate that. Any other comments on the minutes? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to approve the council minutes with the modifications for all 5 dates here, with the modifications that were described in the review tonight, as well as whatever Carol's going to submit electronically.
Okay.
Yeah, my vote would only refer to the December 10th minutes.
Okay. But I need a motion first.
Well, I'll motion it.
Okay. But not just December 10th.
Right, all of them.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead, Carol.
All right, thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
So we'll need to vote to adopt, as I said, the meeting minutes with the changes made tonight, as well as what Carol will be submitting electronically as far as the grammatical and typo errors. Jerry,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
thank you. Carol,
Yes.
and then Ralph in specific to December 10th.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, The minutes are done. Thank you very much. I am going to make a change in the flow tonight and do the public input after we do the recyclops or the recycling bins discussion, because we have on the phone with us tonight Derek Michaelis from Recyclops. So I'm going to ask if you will move to that and get his comments in, and then talk about that, and then we'll come back to the public input.
Appreciate
It's
that.
fine.
So, where's Derek? Did I screw him up? No, you're unmuted. No, you're not unmuted. You should be unmuted now. Let's see. So Derek, you're
I'm
unmuted
here.
as well if you need to. Yep, you're there. Thanks for being here tonight. So at the last council meeting, we talked about the language on the ordinance. And one of the things that was brought up was that the bins may not be sufficient to contain everything that needs to be recycled and other mechanisms. And so particularly around the corrugated, and I sent you all a note that Derek had written me a couple of weeks ago on how that he's fine, Recyclops is fine with the corrugated being bundled and underneath or on top or on the side of the bin, as long as it's secured and not going to blow away. And hopefully by keeping the corrugated separate and would allow, enough space in the bin for everything else. So, but I was also asked at the last meeting to, have the opportunity to talk with the Recyclops team. So Derek's here tonight to answer council questions. So if you've got questions, let's get them out.
Right, Mayor, this is Chris. Can I start?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, Derek, welcome.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you. Before we start, I just want to say I'm a Recyclops subscriber, and I very much appreciate you bringing your service into our town. We've needed it for a long time. And I want to also recognize Kurt, and now I'm forgetting the other folks, I'm sorry, but Kurt Shadle, a former council member who helped facilitate, getting recycling established here. I'd also like to say, this is to the mayor, I was the one, I think, that had most of the reservations about requiring the bin. I was concerned about, we're grateful to have recycling. We don't want to we want to encourage recycling here, not put too much burden on the supplier, the Recyclops, by requiring them to provide us bins. So I had not fully, if you will, signed on to that requirement before you went ahead and told
We had a
Recyclops that
majority
we
of
all needed
council
bins.
members at that meeting, Chris.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Said there was a majority of council members who were supportive of requiring the bin at the discussion meeting. So that's when I sent the letter.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I wasn't, because I wanted an opportunity to ask, Derek, how do you pronounce your last name?
Michaelis.
Michaelis, thank you. I wanted to ask Mr. Michaelis a few questions because of, again, my concern that it was going to cost Recyclops money, additional money, and make it more difficult to, continue to provide that service here in Hideout. So I guess my first question is, I know that I received one of those yellow bins. Now, who's paying for those? Is that an additional cost that you have absorbed, or, what's the impact on your business having to have provided those?
Yeah, no, of course we purchased them outright. They were, I think, with shipping all in, were $60 a cart. Obviously, we've done the economic analysis and feel that we'll make a good return on that investment. But yes, it was obviously, cash we had to part with to do it. That said, there are ancillary benefits. For instance, I don't think it's an accident that we delivered the carts on Saturday and had 5 new people almost immediately sign up because they probably either hadn't heard about us or were glad that there were finally carts available, and that was enough for them to sign up for our service.
All right, that's great. My other concern with the carts, we have a lot of recycling at my house. Sometimes my garage is full. And my other concern was, what happens if I have too much for the bin? Even if I take all my cardboard out, what if, when I say cardboard, I mean the big Amazon boxes and other, corrugated. What happens for a subscriber, if you can't get everything into that yellow bin?
Well, our first thing would be to communicate to the customer and clarify what is and isn't recyclable. A lot of people, I'm not suggesting you're doing this, but a lot of people put just kind of, if it looks even remotely recyclable, they throw it in there. And that's typically the ones that really overflow. Unfortunately, every single thing that was ever manufactured by plastic is not in fact recyclable. A lot of it is, but not all of it. So that's where I'd go first. Second, we've got about 9,000 customers company-wide, so we've got a whole lot of data. And on average, that 64-gallon cart should be enough. But obviously, there is no one's necessarily average. Some are below, some are above. You stuff it, you squash big bottles, milk jugs, don't put it in whole, squash it. There's all kinds of things you can do to save space. All that being said, we're happy to pick up an extra bag or 2 if it's sitting next to the cart. But again, it doesn't sound like that's going to be allowed. And that's the town's prerogative.
And that's why I'm asking you that, that you're willing to pick up the extra bags if there are any, like I'm putting bags out now. So, okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that you've got additional customers because of the yellow carts with your name and phone number on them. And I think that's fantastic. We do want to encourage more and more people to recycle.
So do we.
Yep. So that addresses my primary concerns. Really is concerned about economic impact to the recycling company to have to provide these carts, as well as, but it seems like you kind of already made it up in new subscribers potentially, or you will, hopefully.
In the lifetime, yes.
Okay, in the lifetime. And then what to do if, you've got too much, and then how to handle the cardboard, especially around Christmas. We had so much, it was unbelievable. Well,
yeah, Christmas is what it is. It's a joyous time of year, except for when you're in the recycling business.
Right.
It's just a whole lot more volume, and we don't get to charge more for it, but that's okay. I would point out to you and the council that customers do have the option to sign up for weekly service.
Oh, really?
Now, that's a new, obviously it costs more, but we do offer that now. We just started that in December.
Okay, no, that's good to know. My personal problem is sometimes a couple of times I missed the pickup. So I had a whole month's worth, and that's when we're talking about more than the bin can handle and a whole ton of cardboard.
Yeah, and we have, obviously, we had no cost on the time you didn't put it out, so we're happy to pick it all up the second time.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that's primarily what I wanted to ask, so I'll open it up to any other council member.
So it sounds like there's, I've received some feedback that, we're creating barriers to entry if we're requiring bins and if residents were required to purchase those. It sounds like that's not the case. So that, if you wanted to sign up, the bin is provided. You're not spending more than you would if we were still doing the bag model.
We do charge a setup fee of $24, which is more than we would charge if it was just bags. But if it was just bags, I think the setup fee is $10. So it's a little bit different. I'm not going to weigh in on whether that encourage or discourage, just pointing out the facts.
Thank you.
Hey, Derek, this is Ralph. How are you?
Good.
First of all, yeah, same compliments that Chris gave. I think I've been a long time recycler, and signed up, when it first came into town. So I've had some good comments about the bins. They look, things look cleaner and more kept, I guess, as long as that nice yellow color stays on the outside and the bins stay in good shape. I was just kind of in that. You're right. I think with the crushing of the plastic, you can get more in there, so to speak. And it's great that you're going to a weekly for folks like ourselves who have a lot of recyclables. So I just have one question, and that is, I thought when we were in an earlier discussion, there would be a choice of potentially 2 sizes on the bin, and just wanted to get your comment on that.
Yeah, that definitely is a CapEx thing. To get these carts at any kind of reasonable cost, you got to order, quite a few of them, and to, split the shipping cost and get the all-in cost reasonable. So, to hold that, we're still a small company, so for us to sit on, a couple hundred, cans, several $1,000s worth of inventory, would be a challenge for us currently. And
Yeah, I certainly get that. I was under the impression that the larger size then could be purchased by the homeowner, but maybe I misinterpreted that, or maybe that was my previous experience and I'm confusing it with your option. So I'm fine with what you have. I've only had good comments. I've talked to a couple of people near me, and they've all had solid comments about the size, but I was just kind of curious from my original thinking about this, if there was a choice, with the larger choice being you buy that, so to speak.
It's yeah, we don't, unfortunately, there's no, quote, one size fits all, because especially in, Wasatch County and Hideout, I mean, you're going to have, you're going to have a lot of retirees where you just got 2 people at home, and, especially with COVID, you probably got some more families living out there, and those 2 volume amounts are drastically different.
Okay, so we're sticking with one. That's all I needed to get answered. Thank you. I'll pass it on to any one of the other council members that like to ask questions.
Well, Ralph raises an interesting question. If your service fees are based upon, volume, based on your conversation with Chris, do you have a tiered service where, if someone wanted to have a much smaller container, is there an entry level, lower cost option versus someone who wants a big container that would pay more?
That's a fantastic question. And, we really want to bring, that's at the longer term. You need technology. You got to be able to have a driver track that. We've got to be able to follow it, to know that, did the customer pay for a, 32-gallon cart, but they're putting out, 8 bags on top of it every time just to get around, paying a lower fee. The only way to get around that is with efficient technology and reporting with drivers, which we're not there yet. It's a fantastic idea, but just operationally and back office wise, as you can imagine. It's just the more we can streamline things, the simpler that is.
Yeah, I get it. And, you know, having to scale to that kind of thing, I understand. But if we're looking at barriers to entry, you know, if cost is a barrier to entry for someone, having a lower cost option might be, might get more people involved.
Well, speaking of volume, Derek, and to that point as well, is if everyone signs up, let's say you had mass recycling and that was an issue, or that's an issue for a lot of towns. What's the volume, you know, at a high volume, is there a price reduction? Let's say the town, you know, grows to a certain size and we have all the, you know, I mean, is there any picture you could give for, you know, kind of a township volume reduction, or that you do with other towns?
We don't have something like that currently existing with other towns, but it's something we'd be happy to discuss. Again, it gets tricky because it's not a franchise agreement, so it's not it's not everyone paying. It's do you you know, if you got to say 50% penetration or whatever, you know, would we be willing to you know, share in the obvious efficiency gains we got from that? We would be.
That's a good answer.
Hey,
Yeah, no, and we're not. Yeah, look, we're not stupid. We know Wasatch County and Hideout's growing like crazy, so it's a great market to be in.
Yeah, thanks.
Can I ask one more thing, Mr. Michaelis? And it's kind of a practical item. So you guys accept paper, shredded paper as well. What's the proper use of the bins with the bags? Like, for example, if I had a bag full of shredded paper, I put that in the bin, in the bag. I'm just trying to understand, you know, how we integrate what we've been doing with what we will be doing.
So the best thing to do with shredded paper is to put it in another paper bag.
Okay.
And again, you know, this is the trade-off. You know, we know that as a company, but how we, you know, communicate that to customers is tricky because you don't want to, you know, bury them in information, then it just gets lost. But you got the insider answer on that one.
Okay, good. I think you'll find a lot of people in Hideout, they want to do things right. You know, they're there. They want to keep the town neat. They want to make sure they're putting the right things in the recycle. Most of us, prior to your service coming into town, had to do all the sorting and stuff and go to Recycle Utah and, you know, follow the rules. So we've kind of been trained to know what's recyclable and what's not, generally.
And
you know,
along those lines, we actually are rolling out, it's called the Waste Wizard. It's with a third-party software. It's actually app-based, and, you know, customers will be able to, you know, download the app, put in their address, and, you know, exactly what you just asked. Put in shredded paper, and we'll have a little blurb, you know, put it in a paper bag and put it in your, you know, recycle bin. That'll be pretty cool. We'll be rolling that out pretty soon.
all right, thank you.
Anything else from council for Ellis? And I don't know that he needs to stay with us as we debate the language in the ordinance, but I wanted to make sure you had all your questions answered from them before we got to that.
All of my questions are answered, so thank you.
All right. Well, Derek, thanks very much for joining us tonight. We'll let you have your life back, and we'll.
Thank you so much. We're happy to be a partner with
Really
Hideout. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Keep up the good work.
So this was the language that we had looked at last time and decided to get some more input before we,
Yep. So can I go first?
yeah, sure.
There's no, unless I'm reading it wrong, there's no provision in here to be able to put a couple extra bags next to the cart.
Yeah, we haven't changed it since the last time, Chris. There's no variation on what you saw last time.
I'd like to see a little bit of flexibility, both for people like me who sometimes miss the collection and it becomes monthly, or folks that maybe are new, they haven't gotten their cart yet, but they want to be able to start recycling and they're able to use the bags for a short time. Again, because we don't want to impose any barriers to recycling for people. That's my thought. I know that, Mayor, you were interested in getting this ordinance passed because you want to try to avoid, you know, stuff blowing around or getting buried under the snow, or, you know, but basically a mess being created on recycle day for various reasons, mostly related to not having you know, a cart with a lid. And so I'm still looking for that little bit of flexibility in those times, you know, for those situations. I am glad that Recycle Ops will pick up an extra bag or two if it's, you know, right next to the cart.
To extend on what Chris is saying, the thing about the corrugated materials being under, on top of, or next to, the way the ordinance is currently phrased, that would not be allowed either.
So can I
Again,
just,
Jerry, I haven't changed any
I get
language.
that.
Sorry, Paul.
I get that. I'm just
So,
agreeing with Chris that there needs to be some provision here that allows for some of the variances that we've spoken about.
can I just mention that it's hard to, it often gets more confusing if you have too many exceptions. And unfortunate, you know, it really comes down to an enforcement issue, right? Like if you leave out an extra bag of recycling, unless somebody complains about it, it's probably, there's not going to be an issue. The idea is just that the expectation is that you're keeping it in the cans. I know, you know, where I live, you get raccoons, you get, you know, in the summertime, you get animals, dogs, that type of thing that will get into bags if they're on the ground. And then in the wintertime, of course, you have the snowplow issue. You know, obviously we could put in an exception that would apply at all times for corrugated material, although then you're going to have that issue in the wintertime, or maybe you only allow it to be out of the can in the summertime. But I don't know how I could craft something that says, well, once in a while, if you want to leave an extra bag out, you can, because unfortunately that's going to undermine the whole purpose of your ordinance.
I'd like to make a comment just about the very first whereas, where you talk about wildlife and snow. But I think one of the main issues with recycling in bags is the wind. And I just thought maybe you should also include very windy conditions in that
great
first
point,
whereas.
Carol. We have significant wind.
Right, okay.
So thanks, Carol. I appreciate that. Polly, can I respond to what you said?
Of
And
course, and that's just a suggestion. You guys are the ones that are making the ordinance. I'm just saying, I want to try to have it as legally defensible as possible.
So here's my worry. Let's say we adopt it as mostly as written, right? And then we leave our corrugated next to the can because we were just told by the operator that they'll pick it up. What if then the operator says, oh, I can't pick it up because it's not in the can, because your ordinance says it has to be in the can? Are we going to get into a you know, we're going to get into issues there with,
Well,
you know, what's legal and not legal versus what they are doing.
I mean,
Let Polly answer that. All right, you go.
yeah,
Go ahead, Polly.
I don't know. I mean, I think that could the operator could say that they don't want to pick it up because they don't want to pick it up. I mean, what I do, my operator won't pick it up. And what I'll do is if I have a lot, you run back out as soon as they dump it. If you happen to be home, you can try to throw some more in there, or you throw it into your neighbor's one if he has a little room. You know, is that legal? I don't know. I mean, everyone's getting their recycling picked up. So I think we just want to be realistic too. I don't think that by saying that it has to be in a bin, if the operator is willing to pick up that stuff occasionally and it's not going to create a hazard for the snow plows or whatever else, then I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it's any more so. It's not going to change anything any more so than if the operator just decided they didn't want to pick it up outside the bins anymore.
Polly, are you suggesting maybe we're overthinking this?
I think so.
Hell yeah.
Us overthink stuff?
Yeah.
No.
Thinking we're there with it.
Look, I
The
just
city-
want to make sure we can
County
put
of
our
Wasatch does
corrugated
not-
stuff next to the cart, that we can get as much as we can in the carts. And by the way, our carts are 64 gallons. They're not as big as the ones you have in Summit County, Polly. They're much larger. They're substantially larger. So you can get a lot of stuff in there. There's no reason not to. But it is always the cardboard that takes up all the room.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
also
the-
noticing.
Wasatch County does not pick up additional content beyond your trash cans because it's mechanized pickup, right? At some point, Recyclops will get to the point where they have the same functionality. They're going to come by with a truck and an arm, and they're going to pick it up. So, I mean, this is what most municipalities have moved to. They get one driver, they don't have the labor, and they have, mechanized pickup. If you have extra stuff on the side of your trash can, they don't take it. They just dump your trash can and wait for you to put the extra bag in the trash can for next week. So
Sure, we should be writing this though with current conditions in mind. We can always go back and change it if they go to mechanized. So I'm still going to say that I'd
all right,
like to
I
have
think
the
you're- I
cardboard,
think you're
the
wrong,
option.
but I don't get it wrong. So, I mean, this is the language that I would propose we adopt. But, you guys get to make that decision.
I think we need a line in there, exception for the, whatever we're calling it, the heavy cardboard, the heavy cardboard, not the cereal boxes, but the heavy cardboard where, that we get all those Amazon
It would have
packages
to
in.
be, it has to be bound. Can't just be loose.
And
We're
how
gonna
about
have
in
it
the
outside. It
wintertime?
has to be, with our winds, it's just gonna fly. It has to be bound.
Okay. Bound with what?
String,
Line tape.
tape, I don't care.
Okay. So put string in there or whatever it has to be bound with.
And are you okay with, and maybe Kent could speak to this, is this going to be a problem when there's snow plows?
If it's bound and it's heavy
The only
cardboard,
thing I,
sorry, go ahead, Kent.
the only thing I was saying, the last few times when people put stuff out, they'll push your trash can out a foot or so away from the curb, and then they'll start stacking their recyclables clear out into the road too. That's what's going to cause the problem. If they would leave them on the bank or leave them, just barely back, that would help us tremendously.
I'll also note that this ordinance doesn't distinguish between garbage and recyclables. So it covers both. So keep that in mind as we're talking about potential exceptions here that, the Wasatch County bin is included in this.
Why don't we separate them out then? Because they're two different things.
Well, as
We're-
written, they fall in the same category.
They're not. We're saying everything has to be binned, and you're saying everything has to be binned except it shouldn't be. So before you change the language, I want to know where the rest of the council is. I mean, you don't, if the majority of the council wants to change the language, then we'll have to talk about it.
Well,
I know
my
where you are,
comment
Chris. It's clear.
would be that if we can find suitable language that reflects that flexibility, I think that Chris is talking towards, that makes sense to me. And then maybe separating out garbage versus refuse. So if that clarification can be made suitably within the context of this ordinance, I'd say maybe we should get that right. And I understand Polly's point of view as well, that we might be overthinking this. The one thing I was wondering here is, do we have any, if you don't do this, is there a fine? What's the implication to the homeowner by not doing this, either probably in a repeated fashion? And so I don't see anything to the effect, and maybe I'm missing some of the language here just from the screen, but I didn't see anything to that effect. And I would defer that to Polly and say, is that,
Well,
again, does she see that?
The
as a
answer, Ralph, is if you're not complying, then we'll hit you with a nuisance issue and fine you.
So it doesn't need a special fine category. It falls under an
I don't
existing
believe
one.
it does. No, we have a nuisance ordinance that we would enforce.
So yeah, I'll say that, Christmas, there's a lot of boxes. And there are other times of the year when, you order a bunch of stuff and you wind up with a bunch of boxes. And I'll tell you, sometimes my garage has boxes waiting to fit in a container to go out to the curb, 2 or 3 pickups, and eventually I get them all cleared out. But, I don't mind that. And when I put boxes in, I break them down, I cut them up and I, do flat stuff and, so that they fit in effectively. Maybe everyone doesn't do that, but I think that, time's on our side here, particularly if they're boxes that don't have, if they don't stink, you don't have something that's causing a smell. It's just a space issue. And do you have enough room in your garage to wait out a couple pickups to be able to get through all your boxes?
Hey, Jerry, you haven't seen my garage. So if I, as a consumer, have to go to Recycle Utah with my boxes because I can't recycle them with my curbside because I don't have enough room in my bin, I might not keep my curbside because I'm going to Recycle Utah anyway with my boxes. So I just want you guys to understand it's not just, we're talking a lot of boxes that are large. Sometimes that happens, and I don't want to put another barrier in place for recycling. That's my point. And
We should have asked Derek that if a subscriber calls and says, hey, I need an extra pickup, will they come pick it up for a fee? And, maybe that solves this as well he does say we have weekly now, but that's a subscription for weekly, which you may not want to pay for all the time. But if you had an ad hoc need for an additional pickup, is that something that they support?
And to that point, Jerry, I know my wife is where it's where we've exceeded, or we can't deal with the amount that we would be normal. We've taken it to the recycling center. We've made an additional trip. That's somewhat self-defeating, but when you get those huge times of the year where you have to go through that, and you really you want to continue to recycling and you don't want to overload the street, that's an avenue to deal with as well.
I think listening to Derek talk about, their 9,000 customers, and they have significant data, and that for most cases that bin should be large enough. So, are we having a discussion around a small percentage issue that, if it's an exception issue, maybe there's another way to solve an exception issue with an additional pickup or some other mechanism, rather than because as soon as we say it has to be bundled cardboard, someone's just going to put their cardboard out there and it's going to blow down the street and it won't be bundled. Or there'll be 2 boxes that are bundled, but that's not heavy enough to keep the wind from picking it up and sailing it through the neighborhood. So it'd be difficult in my mind to say, well, what's the volume of boxes that could be bundled that would be safe enough not to present an issue?
Carol, any thoughts on this?
No. I really don't. I guess what I want to say is I'm okay with the ordinance the way it is. I kind of agree with Polly that we're going to try to overthink it and it's going to get too complicated. I think somebody like Chris that has an over excessive amount of recyclables, which it sounds like you do at certain times, that maybe you just contact Recyclops and ask them to do an extra pickup.
Yeah, in my case, I miss pickups, right? I missed 2 holiday pickups, and if you're not home to put it out, it doesn't go out. But
Right.
yeah, I can deal with that. But I'm
not
sticking with the card.
I'm not writing a law.
I'm sticking with the cardboard problem. You guys have to realize that the bin at 64 gallons is not that big. And what I can do is we can bring this up again. If it turns out that what we do here isn't working, then we'll want to bring it forward again and see if we can fix it.
Hey, Phil,
As with everything, that's an option, sure.
I think the ordinance is good as it is. If we're talking between the lesser of 2 evils, maybe not being able to get all our recycling in the 64-gallon bin versus the wind blowing cardboard all over the neighborhood, which will happen. I can guarantee you that.
It will.
Moving
Hey, guys.
is very powerful, believe me. I'd rather have the occasional inconvenience than to have the neighborhood filled with cardboard. So
the neighborhood's not filled with cardboard, Bob. It's not currently filled with cardboard. I don't think. I haven't witnessed that. Kent would know.
Our end is, we have construction cardboard that comes blowing
No,
down
no.
all the time.
I'm talking about recycling. The every 2 weeks recycling.
It's the same thing.
It's not.
How do we know? We just have cardboard come down the hill. How do I know if it's construction or recycle? I don't know. It's just, it moves. So I don't get a vote. So I think 3 votes saying it's okay it is as is, and 2 saying we should modify.
as your resident aerodynamic engineer, I implore you not to leave cardboard uncontained. It will become airborne. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
And if I was unclear before, I'm fine with the language as well. I normally find you, Chris, very persuasive. In this one, I'm not persuaded, though. I'm fine with the language as it is.
I'd like to know what the penalty is for the nuisance violation, since I will probably end up violating it and not being a good example for the community.
So I was just looking, and that was a good point. Usually there is a kind of coverall that like all violations of this code are B misdemeanor or something like that, or C misdemeanor. What I think is most appropriate, and I've just added this into the document, is it says violation of this provision shall be addressed by Title 13, which is your Administrative Code Enforcement Hearing Program. So you have on your books, which is a great program, what is often called the ACE program, which allows for minor violations are given a civil citation. So originally I was going to put it in that it was a B misdemeanor. And I thought I don't want to do that to Chris or to other recycling scoffs. But so why don't we do that? I can send this right now to Alicia or Phil to put up.
Send it to me. I'm the one that's sharing, so.
Okay. I'm sending it
And-
right now.
And that's where I was going. And I wouldn't suggest, I think I'll go along with the language either, as, just because we're overthinking this. But I was also thinking we should give people a warning, even before they get.
Yeah,
that
we won't
violation.
find them on the first time, Ralph.
Yeah.
I might ask them to pick up their rubbish.
Yeah. Listen, you've done it twice. Here's the program. Get on the program or you will get fined. I mean, that's just being civil in this process.
I'm not sending Kent out armed with troops, so.
Good.
Share screen. Polly sent this, I think.
No,
Is the right one showing, Polly?
no, that's the wrong one. It should have a C, letter C.
Should have a letter C.
Yeah, it's probably the,
I'm sharing the wrong one, so. What the heck? Where to go then?
let me resend it.
No, I'm just trying to. Are you seeing the one with the C now?
If you could make that a little bigger, that would be
Yeah,
helpful.
would help.
I'll try, Jerry. And keep it on the screen.
Thank you.
And I added in also, whereas the town of Hideout has windy conditions, wildlife and snow
Yeah, thank
during
you.
the winter. Although sometimes you have snow. in the summer.
Sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah, we do. August is the only month I've not experienced snow in locally. It's up in the hills, but I haven't gotten it at my house in August. So far, there's hope. Okay. Well, with these changes, if we're okay with that, then I would need a motion to adopt this ordinance requiring the use of containers for garbage and recycling. And we can then vote on it.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Second?
I'll
I'll
second.
it. Here, Carol, go for it.
Ralph can do
Carol,
it. I don't care.
That's right.
Okay.
So let's vote if, let's see how you all vote. So Ralph,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Chris,
Because of the size of the cart and the cardboard. Otherwise, it's good. I'll say no.
Carol,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
thank you. Motion passes 4-1. And we will adopt that. Alicia, I will send you this right now. So
I'm
that
actually
you'll have the
doing
right
that.
one.
I'm sending her the up
It
one.
just came in my inbox. I can forward it quite quickly.
Okay.
Okay, she's got it. Okay. Success on that particular topic. Thank you all for your deep consideration and thoughts.
It just occurred to me, did we already have public hearing on that?
No, I don't recall if you guys did. I don't think it's a requirement of your code for just regular ordinances? Let me take
I
a
just want to make sure we did it the right way.
If you wanted to, you could ask if anyone wanted to.
We
speak.
just, well, I mean, if it's not required, it's not required.
Yeah, generally it's, under state law, it's not required to have a public hearing for non-land use ordinances.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to jump back up and do public input. Although there's only one name on here that isn't council or support personnel.
Well, there may be folks on the YouTube channel that pop in once you open it up.
Okay. But I will open the floor for public input, but the way you have to do that is through the link to the Zoom meeting, and then you would have to raise your hand when in Zoom. And you do that at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There's a place that says raise hand. And given that there's a minute delay or something across, 30-second delay, we'll give it a little bit of time here. Okay, I don't see anything, so I'm going to close public input and move to agenda item 2. So this is discussion item where, if you remember, each year around this time, we kind
Phil,
of look
you're
at our
not sharing.
priorities.
You're no longer sharing.
I'm sorry, it's just the agenda, but I'll get back to that. I'm sorry. See if this solves it. Are you seeing the agenda now?
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
So, agenda item 2, I'm saying each year around this time, the council usually finds a time to do some work on reviewing the objectives and creating some priorities for what we want to try and accomplish in 2021. And we can do this a couple ways. We can do it by sending out, the list that we kind of just generated for the newsletter, and doing some work on that, and then having a discussion at council meeting, or we could have a separate working session. And I'd be interested in your perspectives on how we should address those. But I think it's a good thing to do to sort of reflect and identify the things that we want to work on in 2021.
Do we have a full agenda already for the optional second meeting for January?
We have no agenda for the optional second meeting in January.
Maybe that's a good time slot.
I personally won't be here for that, but that
Oh.
doesn't mean the working session can't happen without me. I'll just nominate one of you to be the lead.
Yeah, I think it's important that you be involved as the executive.
I'll send you my input if you want to do it on that January. On the I guess it's the 28th. It would be the 28th. Yeah. And yeah, that's a. Did I do that?
I think the meeting's a good idea. I think
could-
you need to be present.
I'm trying to
for
look
the
at my
meeting,
calendar now, Jerry. I'm just trying to think. I might could do it on the 28th. I may have my dates mixed up.
I would agree with you, Jerry. I think you need to be there.
Yeah, I could do it on the 28th. Others in council, does the 28th work for you to have a work session specifically discussing the goals and objectives for 2021 in 2 weeks' time?
Yes.
Yeah, looks like it works for me.
Yes, works for me.
All right. Then let's pencil it in, and I'll work with the staff here to get some material out to you as far as providing input, so we have some work done in advance, as far as at least a list to work from, and we'll also pull up last year's list as well, see how we did. Okay, thank you.
Good.
And then item number 3, Polly, I probably had a meeting with Mustang on Tuesday. I wondered if you could just share a couple highlights from that.
Sure. And did we update them? We've met with them twice, actually, I think, since
Yeah.
the last meeting. Once was the 3 of us, and then once was just me and them. I would say that they are a tough nut to crack. I was hoping to kind of get off on a new foot with them and try to work things out. They said that they have a check ready for the water fees that are outstanding for the golf course since who knows how long ago. So that's good. And I have another meeting with their attorney next week to go over some of their other outstanding dues and fees so that we can segregate out which ones they contest and which ones they don't. So we're working on that. We pushed them about the pond. They said that they would get back to us. Then we met again just before the meeting with the idea of getting an update. I was told when we spoke on Tuesday that there wasn't much of an update, and that at the winter time they wanted to keep the pond low because they were scared people were going to ice skate on it. I told them I hadn't seen it, but that didn't sound very realistic to me. And that, we still need to fix this problem, and we've laid out for them how Ryan, our engineer, thinks it can be fixed. And as I said, I spoke with the attorney on Tuesday. He told me he would get us that information or an update by today. I have not received an update on the pond. So we're just going to keep chipping away. As I said, I'm trying to keep the pressure on by continuing to meet with him with the hopes that by, just being present, we can work through this stuff and move forward. I also spoke with the attorney for the master HOA as well as with the Mustang attorney. They're 2 separate attorneys. When I spoke to her, she was very excited about the working out something with that property that's over there. And she was going to get back to me. I haven't heard back from her. So
Which property, Polly?
Which property?
Those are the pod lots, Jerry, at the, over by the Lasso Trail loop that we talked about potentially having the town take. And JSSD has them now, but they're prepared to make them available for us
Gotcha.
if we want to purchase them.
So they come with their own issues. So I'm trying to work through that before we even pay for an option on it. But, I hear one thing from one attorney, and then, Mustang's attorney says that he's not really involved with the HOA stuff. But then again, of course, Mustang is the majority owner or has a majority interest in the HOA. So they're frustrating to work with. I have to be honest. But I'm just going to do my best to continue to work with them and continue to just kind of move forward with this. So at least the good thing is, right, these are supposed to be quarterly meetings at a minimum. And we have had 2 meetings already since our last meeting, and I have another meeting scheduled for Tuesday night. So, or Tuesday evening, afternoon.
And Paul, I can join that one if you
Okay.
want me there.
Yeah, I'll send you an invite.
So, the good news is that they are meeting and talking. We're hearing some of the right words, but we're not seeing the action to match. Hopefully that will come. We also have to do our part. We agreed with them that we were going to do the impact fees at the end of December. And that, but we haven't paid them for those yet. So, that's my fault in not driving the office to get that check issued on time. So we need to get that out. And, my commitment to them going forward is we'll pay you within 10 working days of the end of the quarter for your routine payment for impact fees. So,
And have we discussed the junkyard at all?
no, we have not got to that, Jerry.
Okay.
I'm still trying to get, I understand the junkyard's an eyesore, but I'm actually trying to get the town paid some of the money it's owed by these guys. Because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And we're subsidizing, a developer at the public's expense, which is wrong. So, I'm trying to, I've explained that to Jared. I've said, if you're not going to pay, then we're going to go to court because you can't keep using our money to subsidize your business. So I think that's, to me, that's the top issue. I understand the eyesore is an eyesore, but we got to get paid.
Do we put an interest bogey on this like the IRS would? Just curious.
At the moment we have it, Ralph, I think we can write code to do that at some point. I'd just like to get paid what we're owed.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm willing to go pretty quickly to that next step because I feel like they're just playing games. I was pretty upset when the response was today. I got an email from them saying, well, we want to know when we're getting our impact fees. It's like, well, okay, we haven't even had 10 business days, and yet how late are your is your water bill? Like, give me, and we paid you back in October. Like, come on. So I sent a pretty harsh communication to their attorney. So hopefully we can just get to a good place and get paid.
Do we know if Mustang even has the ability to pay us? Are they under any type of financial duress? Are they insolvent? Do we know that?
We don't, Bob. It's privately held, so we don't have visibility into their financials.
Right.
But the fact that his lawyers are still working suggests that he's at least able to pay his staff.
Yeah, I agree with Paulie. I think they're playing with us. I don't feel like doing them any favors. That's my personal opinion. Until they get serious.
Agreed.
Thank you.
So we're going through the additional financials that she mentioned this next week, and then if we don't get at least the first tranche, then it's time to start serving them.
Yeah.
Now that we have an official mailing address, we can send out a process of it. Other comments from council on this?
No.
Okay. So again, to me, the positive is that they're taking our calls. We're having conversation. That's the first time in my 3 years as mayor that we've actually had anything other than litigation-related discussion. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we might actually get something from them through this process, but we'll see. And with that, that is the end of our public agenda. We do have a need to go to executive to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation, personal matters, and/or sale acquisition of real property. So I would appreciate it at 7:26. Sorry, 7:26 p.m. Yeah, to close a motion to close the public session and move to executive.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous. And with that, I'm going to close the public session and just trying to see who's on that we would have to.
Just stop the recording and boot whoever we need to.
So let's, Alicia, can you stop the recording? I can